And
Justice for Yanstic!
good evening, everybody. I mean, good time zone, everybody. It is another Tuesday, and we're back here on Horde of Tales for another round of D&D. My name is Marcus, also known as the Chindividual, and I am tonight once again in the company of 4 amazing players, one which I just revealed because I accidentally had the on vacation thing on for Austin. But we have on tonight, we have the fantastic local voice modulation champion and Warforged player, Serial, who joins us here. We have our troublemaking Triton player and Nyanstic enthusiast, Ida. We have the totally not inspired by Scar Leonin player and also cat enthusiast, Austin, here. And of course, we have our very own half-elf, pirate, badass, Caro, who joins us here tonight. How are you all doing today?
We stand, Caro. We stand, Delphine. You win.
Marcus.
Good. It's good to see you all here. That was a good start. This was a perfect way to start things. Good ways. We're off to a great start today. We were just talking before we go.
I quite enjoyed the introduction. Can we do this? Can you just come up with a pretty thing to say about us, like for every stream?
I should totally do that. I'm gonna make a list with possible things and factoids I can share with people as we start the game. But I do warn you, they might get sillier with every week. There's a risk that I start.
Soul train walk-in.
Soul train walk-in.
Everyone just dance down the line.
We're full of ideas here. We're not just full of tales at Horde of Tales, we're also a horde of ideas, as you can tell. We're also a horde of adventure and story that we're going to continue tonight, because last week we ended with a bit of not a cliffhanger, but a cliff jumper, actually. And today we're going to see if our brave adventurers are going to make it back to their... well, at least back to civilization. But before we get to that, let's just get a few standard announcements and explanations out of the way. You are here by your free will or pure coincidence on the Horde of Tales channel. No matter what reason you're here for, we're happy you're here. On this channel, we stream tabletop RPGs, and tonight we stream Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. We're playing a campaign set in Eberron, and we're in the second adventure of the Convergence Manifesto adventure. If you find these adventures that we play here interesting, and you think, hey, I could play these myself, you totally can, because these adventures can be found on acrosseberron.com, and you can read up all about them there. We're currently in the second adventure, Live Another Day, and we're going to continue those adventures as long as we're having fun. And I think that's going to be a long time. We use as our virtual tabletop Astral VTT, and music that you're hearing here on us, that you finally again hear on our channel, is from Dark Fantasy Studios. The overlay that all our pretty faces are in is made by Caro, and character portraits that you're going to see later are a cooperation between Serial and Caro. Fantastic work there. And finally, as every week, there is still a Catvantage button for your channel points. If you spot a certain cat that might show up on certain screens, if there is a 4-footed furry, like this kind of cat here, if you spot the cat on screen and you have the channel points, you can use your channel points to give Catvantage to any player, and that includes the DM. If they have Catvantage, they can use that on their next roll and roll with advantage. So
was that technically Catvantage now?
No, because we haven't started the session yet. So that was the.
So that was not a free. That was not a free will.
Exactly.
But this is just spend points, and also there might be mic issues.
There might be mic issues.
I think the cat flashing should be allowed in this instance.
Because there
Now,
have
now
already
we have
been
specified.
Someone already.
because somebody already spent the points on it, you mean?
But also now we can make a clear amendment.
That is true. That is true.
Hi.
So fair enough. Let's allow these cat advantages. Also because chat gave us some good tech troubleshooting there. I'm pretty sure the echo should be gone by now, if I'm not mistaken. If we can get one final confirmation from chat.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello there.
Hi. Hello.
Hi. This is Horde of Tales.
Hello there.
And you're here to help us with troubleshooting technical issues.
Okay,
That should
on
absolutely
my
not
end,
apply on this.
no more echo.
Okay. Well, then let's keep the music for another time, and I have some more troubleshooting time. And we're gonna, for now, how about instead of bothering these people with more troubleshooting for now, how about we get the session started and give them a little of an intro, and then we go right into the session. We'll be right back after a quick little
Let's
intro
go.
video. Stay here. We are back and we are ready for another session of adventure. When last we left our heroes, and I do a big reveal again, I have to say. When last we left... Oh, I am so terribly sorry. One second. I am messing a little... Here we are. There we go. Everything's fine. Breathe in, breathe out. When last we left our heroes, we had them deal with the Drum Scouts in the tunnels just outside of the Shining Valley, where you were putting up a kind of cunning ruse with the Harpies to try to get you exchanged as prisoners of the Harpies, but things went a little bit different when Dythun decided to put on a little show, make this exchange a bit more dramatic. There was a bit of fighting. There might have been some daggers thrown, some swords flung, some icy knives thrown through the air. But in the end, our adventurers came up on top of it, and they actually also defeated the leader of the Drum Scouts, Bravik, and the Harpies got to take some of them as prisoners. You were set free by the Harpies with a quick series of goodbyes and friendly ways of saying, hope we never see you again, as that is kind of the agreement you made with the Harpies. And you wandered the tunnels to get back out into the Grey Wall Mountains and also make your way slowly to Ardev, wherever that may be. And as you started just wandering eastwards, because that's what you knew where Ardev is, in the eastern direction,
It's always
you
east.
came to a sheer cliff where you decided that, well, if you have feather falling capabilities, you can accelerate your journey by jumping off high cliffs and just do a little bit of base jumping. And the discussion about those options was cut short because there was a flying monstrosity coming down from the skies, and Dythun, in true Scar fashion, just shoved everyone off the cliff, dove down into the depth, and you had a little bit of a... Well, you had to intimidate this flying manticore-esque creature to save your own hides, which you did, because you people can be intimidating if you want to, and continued your journey further towards Ardev. And we are going to pick up as you make your way over there. And that actually brings us... I have to put something on. Because you are actually going to start a little bit of a field trip here. When we ended last session, you were still very much up in the Grey Wall Mountains and were slowly finding your way towards Ardev. All you know is that it's probably quite a walk to get there. But how long, how arduous, and how complicated that walk could be, that will depend on a few rolls that you're about to make. I would like every one of you to make either a survival, nature, or history check to help finding your way through this landscape and to wherever Ardev is.
I'm sorry. Every time you say the name of the city, I'm like, what do you mean our death? Are we dying? What's happening? That is very on the nose.
Yes, true.
I mean,
Oh, not bad.
I was sitting here trying to
Anything you
think,
want to share with us,
what did I
DM?
forget to get? And I remembered, oh yeah, nice.
The innkeeper in Ardev is actually like a lich in disguise, and he thinks he's clever with the name of this place.
Total 4 for
That was-
Rayn on history. And
4 history.
as she's new to the region, she's a Triton, she doesn't really know much about. She glanced at like this world map that on that one date that she went with Delphine and was like,
All right, that's a good description. What did the rest get?
So it was
15.
history, survival, and what was the third option?
Nature.
Nature.
Cool. I'm gonna go with the one that's a positive. Survival.
I have 15 on history.
15 on history.
I have 17 on history.
17 on history, yeah.
I have 19 on
Who
survival.
gives more?
19 on survival. All
Let's
right.
go.
All righty. That is great. Yeah. So, Rayn, as you said yourself, while just looking at whatever maps you might still be having and not being familiar with the environments, you might be marveling at the scenery, might be seeing how the group slowly leaves behind mountains and moves into foothills, but you're just taking it all in. You're a good companion, but in this very moment, other party members might be doing a bit more in getting you to where you're meant to go. Delphine and Rebus, you both used history on your checks too, as well, right? That will mean that you're kind of more navigating based on your general knowledge of the area. You're kind of like your general knowledge of maps of the region. Like if we're walking east, what kind of roads could be there? Do you recall any kind of other settlements that might be coming before Ardev? And generally keeping an eye out for more historical landmarks that you can orient on. And both of you did pretty good rolls there. And you both have good recollections of, well, let's just say you probably paid good attention in your topography classes or something, Delphine, when you were still in education, because you do know that next to just going east towards Ardev, it's also a good idea to keep an eye out for any kind of roads, especially the larger roads. I mean, generally looking for roads is a good way to find civilization, because usually a road eventually will lead to somewhere. But you also know, since Ardev is very near to Castle Arcane, which is the castle of the actual king of Breland, you could also keep an eye on the roads and on any kind of transport wagons or cargo wagons that you might see, and just follow them, because there's a high chance that you either can just follow them to Ardev or ask them for directions. And Rebus, you also have a pretty impressive recollection of this area, and not just like a specific recollection. It's not like you're walking here and like, oh yeah, I know these part of the mountains, but you just have a...
Oh yes, this rock.
It was a good rock. But you kind of just also have a very good... You recall the map of the area good from your mind, and you kind of know like more like, okay, the Grey Wall Mountains are behind us. You have a good impression where you should go to get towards civilization. Now,
Seems like my internal compass is still properly functioning, so hopefully we won't get lost anytime soon.
and Dythun, you
Yes.
are totally in your element here with your survival roll of 19, and you're applying all the tricks that you know about orienting yourself in the wilderness, not just helping your group navigate, but also in the coming journey, support them with finding like places where you can find some fresh water, any kind of springs that you may come across, help with finding edible food, berries, or even some kind of easily hunted wildlife that could be eaten if anyone doesn't feel like taking the rations they have with them. So while 2 members of your party use their historical knowledge, Dythun, you are really like the survival knowledge here.
If there's one thing television has taught me, it's that moss grows towards civilization. And if anyone knows exactly
What's
where I learned that
television?
from, then you know exactly. But no, Dythun probably, I imagine, has had to traverse and get through wilderness in certain situations, so he's ready for this. He's like, they're all like, yeah, I think I have this civilization like this and here and that, and he's just like, that way. He just keeps walking.
Gotcha. Now, at least for the coming days, you will still be traveling, covering quite some ground, slowly going from the mountainous areas into foothills and into grasslands. Is there, during these travels, as you make your way towards Ardev, is there anything significant that you would like to do, that any of the characters would like to do, that you would like to do as a group, anything you would like to discuss on any of these days when you might be making camp or out hunting, anything that makes for a good addition to a traveling cutscene?
I think Rain just kind of idly chatters every now and then, not like nonstop droning. But she might share like how she relates to the visage of the mountains behind her, which is new to her. And that's why Triton's fins on their heads are an erogenous zone, and in some Alden cultures, Delphine and I might be engaged to marriage based on her previous actions.
What?
Oh no, darling, we're a
This
little more
way.
progressive.
In my head,
Waggle,
Delphine, are you
waggle,
okay?
waggle.
Wait. I think I misheard.
Hmm. Waggle, waggle, waggle.
I will exactly like verbatim repeat what Rain just said to Delphine in case she did misheard.
Right, so we're heading east through these trees.
Okay, listen.
Are you okay?
Based on the culture we have here, this is not going to be happening in any time soon.
Oh, darling, you're so cute when you're flustered.
God damn it!
Rain just
I
kind of
will
winks
go
and
towards
smiles and
Dythun.
skips away.
Is Rain literally skipping away?
Like, literally skips. Like, forward on the road, like with them, not away from the party.
Perfect. You
This took me so off guard.
My job is done. Bye, everyone.
I go towards Delphine. Just look at her from like my towering height. Just be like, Miss Delphine, are you okay? You seem a bit flustered, I believe is the word.
Well, in, think about the situation where you did something where you thought, okay, that's not doing any harm at all, and then suddenly someone tells you, like, some days afterwards, this is an action that you did that will be in their community, something that makes you kind of like engaged with someone. How would you feel about this?
Well, I honestly do not know. I've not been in this situation, and these kind of emotions are a little bit tricky for me to understand, but I can understand the implication of being in a social situation where some meaning is intended or misinterpreted. Um, do you need help? Are you okay?
For my sanity, yes, I would need help. But otherwise, I'm fine.
Okay. What is it?
Question back. You feeling okay? Because you seemed a little bit off in the last time.
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I believe so, yes. We've been traveling for a little bit. I quite enjoy it. Actually, this just reminds me something important. Dythun, can you hold up and see if you can get Rayn before she gets too far away? I have something to share with you now that we have some time to talk. And
Yeah,
I
certainly.
will crouch.
Rayn is like 20 paces away.
Yeah, I mean, Dythun will kind of jog ahead and just catch up with Rayn. Apparently, Rebus has something to share with everyone. If you'd like to skip back to the group or walk, whatever. Sure, why not?
I make him skip back with me.
You know what? Honestly, he's fine with that.
You're off to see the wizard, the wonderful wizard of Oz.
Delphine needs red shoes!
We have the lion. We have the Tin Man. We just need a scarecrow and figure out who's Dorothy. It's all good. We got it.
Oh, wow.
As we skip back.
I love this so much. I'm sorry. I'm so happy.
Love this shit. This is so good.
This is why I'm coming back every week.
Anyway.
So in the meantime, while Dythun is fetching Rayn, I will have crouched and opened the little compartment on my foot, my right foot, and taking out the shard that the lore keeper, Bragi, gave me. I just hold it up on my palm. So as we continue walking, so Delphine and the rest of the group can see. So, I was given this by Ragi when they were taking care of me before we left. We were discussing some of the issues I've been having when faced with high pressure situations, high pressure, high stress situations like a battle. And I don't want to hurt any of you. I've been very concerned about it and thinking about possible solutions. But in the meantime, since these crystals have to seem to have calming properties, I would like one of you to keep it. So if something goes wrong in battle and I can't snap out of it, as people say, hopefully this will help me disengage my combat mode and nothing bad will happen. I just don't trust myself to carry it in case something shall happen to it. So, yeah.
Rin is going to pick the back of her. She has a golden circlet with the diamond in the middle, like a tiara, like a la Sailor Moon. She's going to fiddle around in the back. She's going to pull out the shard that she's kind of smuggled out of the Shining Valley as well.
That's fortunate, I think.
Word of advice, Rebus, if I may. Do not let it come into contact with, and I mentioned the big gourd that is hanging off my my waist, which is where we are keeping submerged in Dythun's brew, the fully charged, shining, singing sapphire.
Yes, I think that would be wise.
Delphine will just snatch the crystal in the vial.
I'll put mine back behind my tiara.
Delphine, you said you snatched the crystal that's in the vial?
Yes.
Like the little one that was just put in there, or do you mean like the big?
The one from Rebus.
From Rebus's
From
foot.
Rebus. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It
Rebus
was in the
foot crystal.
foot crystal. Yeah. Is there anything specific you would like to do with the crystal?
Or I'm just pocketing it, so like just in case for any situations where it might be needed to calm Rebus down.
Gotcha. Put in your inventory crystal from the Shining Valley.
Yeah, I'm just calling it calming crystal.
Calming crystal, perfect.
All right, so we have a backup
Now
to
I
a
need a
backup
crystal
to
to
a
put
backup.
in.
I mean, we have these material objects as well, and they do indeed have some very happy, energetic properties. But I also have magic in my hands, means, specifically to calm any rampaging emotions one might be feeling.
Yeah, yes, of course. I thank you for. I believe that's what you did last time. I don't remember much, but I think that's what made me stop. Just in case you couldn't do it or weren't around. So perhaps it's good that Delphine carries it, since she might not have the same means as you to deal with me. Hopefully it won't be necessary, but
You know, there was this one time where you wanted to kill me. And I'm not mad about it, but to be fair, I prefer it to fight against the people that want to kill me. So if you ever want to kill me, I would prefer it if it's in the same state.
certainly I would appreciate that as well. Although hopefully it won't come to that.
Oh, we will see.
I've grown to quite appreciate you, so all of you. I'd rather we don't have to kill each other.
So there are just the 2 crystals? Nobody got maybe like a third one? Since there's 3 of us. No? Okay, cool.
What I'm thinking, hopefully, since just the presence of the crystal is calming, maybe we can find a way in the future to attach it to me somehow, so I do carry it with me, and to have it
or to the hilt of my sword and just hit you with it. As like a,
right,
just in case.
I will look at all the already bent plates on myself, not just recently nicked and scratched, but just the way you already have known me, because I have been put together from and repaired from different scraps. And I'll just look at Dythun and say, I'd rather not end up with more dents. Thank you.
I mean, in all fairness, one or two of those might be from me already, so
And in all fairness, a dent over a death.
Well, yes, of course. Just there might be an easier way to make it work, so you don't have to protect yourselves from me or other people. I was thinking perhaps a device that could switch it on and off, or have it come in contact with me whenever necessary, triggered by a certain level of lost control or rage. I still haven't
Triggers,
found quite the
plans,
word.
contingencies.
And just a thought. If we find some artificer that can actually put these crystals on kind of a device that we can attach to you so that it's triggered on its own when you need it?
That would be optimal, really. That would be excellent. I don't know someone who craft that device, but I know a person who could try, probably enjoy coming up with some mechanism. It's just an idea. For now, keep the crystal, and I would appreciate if you can make sure I don't hurt any of you. I'll try to get better.
well, as wonderful as that rock is,
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to craft anything for us. So maybe should we start walking again?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
It's kind
I
of
assumed we were, talking and walking. That was kind of the.
Oh right.
And as we're kind of talking, walking, Rayn will remark, plans and contingencies, trigger points, thresholds. When it comes down to it at the critical moment, they're not always too reliable. A bit of spark, a bit of ingenuity, a bit of, you see it happen and just act on it tends to be sometimes reliable in the end. But we're also discussing the symptoms, what causes it. So if you need a more deeper, internal, cerebral look, let me know.
Thank you, Miss Rayn. Yes, I actually wanted to ask you, but since you brought it up, that would be very helpful. Although I cannot promise it will be easy or okay for you to do so. I don't know what's in there, and I wouldn't want it to hurt you also. If you're willing to give it a try, I would very much appreciate it.
I am hereby volunteering and am cognizant of any other risk, and I am willingly heading towards there. So your concern is cute, thank you, but this is beneficial on multiple levels.
It's only fair that I ask. Maybe we can try tonight by the fireplace.
Yes.
And you do continue your walking throughout the day as you were talking and walking. and do make your way closer over the foothills, closer to wherever you're going. And in the evening, you start making camp near a little dwelling, a little forest nearby. And there's a bird in the trees as you're setting up camp. And while you're gathering fire, setting up your tents and rolls, you just hear in the wood of the forest this bird going. It's an exotic creature, and it has been added to the canon of Eberron.
Wow.
Yes, the bird.
I love this bird.
Rare occurrence.
Anyway,
I refuse to be named. I think the scientific name might be Boots and Cats bird. You know, because of the sound
Yeah, the
they
boots and
make.
cats. Yeah. Hold on. I think I hear it calling again.
now it calls. And
Thank you, Izzy.
anyway,
Is he single-handedly killed all of us?
At least I look good.
at least I look good doing this.
Oh, I'm crying.
You
Oh, save us for the wedding day.
you set up camp in the evening with the materials that you do have, and you're able to get a fire started, and you have your bedrolls, and fortunately enough, the weather remains dry in the evening, and soon enough, the only light that you have around you is the light of the fire crackling between all of you of the adventuring party. Moons over you, wind rustling through the trees. Rebus and Rayn,
Yeah.
you wanted to use the evening to do another session of mind delving, like similar to how you did it before leaving Sharn? Or what are the plans exactly?
Rain would indeed offer that, and Rain would ask Rebus telepathically, shall we do it here in the camp, or do you want to go somewhere else?
It's. I'll never get used to this. I think probably going a bit further away might be safe in case, you know, anything is triggered. Bring your crystal.
I would argue that it would be safe if something were to be triggered. It would be safer to be around other able bodies, and I am not going to rely on the crystal.
Oh yeah, Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, I didn't mean going too far away, just not directly next to someone, so in case I throw a punch, I don't hit them on the face. You should probably keep my weapon too.
Weapons are not a part of the Rain mental experience. Delphine, Dythun, we're going for a walk. Please check in on us in 10 minutes if we are not back.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Rebus.
Take care.
Little walk for my mental health. Yes.
All right, you do stroll or hop a little bit away from the camp into the nearby forest, where you can find a quiet place for the two of you to sit down and start your dive into Reba's mind again. How are you going to go about this?
I would Rain would recommend that Rebus turns off their Everlight lantern. Not so there's no sensory overload on what's happening around them. Rain with dark vision, even though she's concentrating on the spell, would have some means of seeing what's around. And because Rebus is very tall and a much bit bigger frame than she is, she would invite them to kneel down so that she can well, I think she'd ask Rebus, would you like me to stand behind you or in front of you?
I think I would find it more comforting if you were in front of me.
All right. All right. Now, I don't know what the heck those soothsayers say back in Sharn. They say mumbo jumbo like clear a mind or find an emotion that is important to you. Let's just see what
I
we
don't know
have.
how to do that anyway.
That is true. But please bear in mind that last time I delved into you, there was a bit of I think you likened it to a void or an emptiness. However, to me, there was not a void. There was indeed darkness, but more in the sense that something was blanketing with the intention perhaps to, maybe not the intention, but perhaps the mean to hide away the things that were there. But they are there. They're just not in light. No one truly has a void.
Well, that's reassuring. Hopefully we can find out what is in there. Maybe I can begin by showing you the flashes I've had so far. I've been having this small pieces of what feels like memories or dreams or something in between. And they feel mine, but I can't quite place what they are or where they come from, what they mean. So maybe we can start there, since I can recall those images now, and then it might help you guide me further.
All right. Rebus will hear in their mind. All right. Think about those thoughts. I will now join you in those thoughts, and you will feel me enter. Please do not resist me. And I cast Detect Thoughts with, I will put my forehead on Rebus's forehead.
All right. And with Detect's thoughts, I'm assuming that you're also going to take the application that you go deeper into their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Rebus, I'm assuming since you're aware of what is happening, that you're not going to try to resist Rain going deeper.
And of course,
Gotcha. You, Rain, you shortly after putting your forehead to Rebus' forehead, you cast a spell and you feel this familiar sensation of your mind linking to another mind. This is a very familiar sensation and similar to how every time it feels when you just use your minor ways of just projecting a message into someone's head. But in this method, you're actually establishing a way of putting yourself into the mind of someone else. You quickly brush past the surface thoughts of your Warforged companion and find yourself sinking deeper into their mind. You know the way in this mind. You've been here before. And it is still a dark place. You see this blackness, this void ahead of you. And you just hear echoing around you fragments of words that are being spoken. You can't clearly hear them. And eventually, you see Rebus standing in front of you. And Rebus, you're also here inside your mind. And find yourself, while the spell of Rayn is taking effect on you, find yourself here in this darkness. And you also hear these distant whispers and words being spoken. And then appearing in the darkness in front of you is Rayn. The
Okay.
the dark around you is slowly shifting. As Rayn, you notice that your spell of detect thoughts is starting to further spread through the consciousness of Rebus. And you sense again there's a certain fragmentation, a certain breaking of thoughts here. When you cast this kind of spell and you delve into someone's mind, memories are very complete. It's almost like every memory is its own vial containing a certain memory that is important to that person. Some memories are on a shelf very deep in someone's mind, and other memories, they're right up at the surface. But Rebus' recollections, they are unclear, as if the containers where the memories were in are broken. And as you take in these memories, you find them blend into each other, stop making sense. You see images that don't fit together. At one point, you see a charred battlefield that then has these patches of blossoming flowers on it, and there's just this part of a greenhouse in the middle of that memory. All these things, they don't go nicely into each other. And as Rayn, you perceive these memories. Rebus, so do you. You see some of these fragments and you recall them from your previous visions or lapses of recalling things. You find yourself briefly with Rayn for just the briefest moment, again in this very high glass greenhouse with the ornamental metal framework, bushes and trees, and even a little stream running through it. But there's also, outside of the greenhouse, you see that the sky is red and black. And you see in this greenhouse, there's again this older man, the one that you recall from one of the previous memories. But he's
I know
far.
that individual.
He's far away. And there are, from what you thought in one of your previous visions, were like children here. Now, as you're again in this amalgamation of memories, together with Rayn now, those children have been replaced by what look like adult halflings. And they are wearing uniforms.
That's new.
Perhaps this person is better off. I recall last time this older person did not seem to get along well with children. Seemed more like a facade.
I don't know. I think he was just trying to protect the child and probably was a little bit tired of looking over it. Children are relentless most of the time.
And Rebus, as you say that, children are relentless, you suddenly don't speak with your own voice. You say that line in an unfamiliar female voice. And Rayn, you can hear that voice as well. There's a different voice that you haven't heard before that comes out of Rebus, as if they are doing a perfect imitation of someone's voice.
Oh, and who is that? No, you might not know. Who could that be? Does this voice speak with
Well,
the elegant graces of someone with much comfort? Does this person speak as if they work with their hands? Say something again, Rebus.
I am unsure. It's quite jarring, if I'm being honest. I'm not used to this. I don't know if it's familiar. I'll try to think of it.
I'll
Also,
think with
DM,
you.
what does the voice actually
Yeah.
sound like?
That was actually a very good presentation of that voice. That was a there is indeed it is a very it is a softer but also very elegant voice speaking. And after a while, Rebus, as you speak with that voice, you start noticing that it starts to crack, it starts to break up, and there's these fragments of your regular voice coming through again. And at some points, it's almost as if there's two voices coming out of the same mechanical throat as you speak, and they blend for a moment before your original Warforged voice is back.
I'm afraid that's all we're going to get of that. It feels like a kind and sophisticated person, does it not?
That is
Perhaps
a fair theory.
the mother of the child. Although I also don't know who the child is, so from my previous memory. Do you think this woman, this person, this voice might have spent time in this glass house?
Does it give you comfort to imagine that they would have? Does that evoke any sort of feeling in you?
It does.
Even if you don't, then let that be so. Until we are told otherwise, consider that something familiar.
I do like this place. It does make me nervous to see the sky like this and the insinuation of war or battle in the uniforms of the people. Because this feels like a peaceful retreat with a lot of happy memories.
May I share something with you about how minds can work, especially our own?
Of course.
As I gesture to the angry red sky with like that fear and loom of war nearby. Recall the sky in the shining valley. Put it there.
You
I will do that. I will try to imagine the blue, beautiful, cloudless sky.
And as you do, Rebus, you slowly see the red outside vanishing as if it came from a setting red sun. For a moment, the sky is black outside, pitch black. Not even the little sparkles of stars or any signs of the moons. But then, on the other side from where the red sun of gloom and war sank, you see a radiant glow of a warm morning sun rising. And where it rises, the sky is tinted with this calming blue. It almost moves through the sky as if you spill ink on paper. And it covers all the sky that you can see from within this greenhouse. And as it does, you hear sounds coming alive in the greenhouse. You hear birds tweeting. You see butterflies flying by. You hear laughter. And the two adult halflings that you saw in their uniforms, they have changed again. They're not halflings. How could you forget? They're absolutely not halflings. They were gnomes. Proud. Strong. They liked your company. And now they're here to enjoy the garden. One last time. And you're here with them. You've known them for a while. But why can't you recall their names? Why don't you know their faces? You know that you went with them. But what are their names? A bird lands on your
I
shoulder.
know these people.
And you hear from behind you, you then hear the voice that just came out of your own mouth. The very same voice is now coming from behind you. And Rayn, you see this too. You see entering now into this beautiful greenhouse is a gnome woman standing very straight and proud. An almost regal outfit out of expansive satins and furs. And a very full dew of shining blonde hair. She radiates pride as she looks at the two gnomes who stand there in their uniforms. She looks over at Rebus. And Rebus, you see her face. It is a soft face. She has elongated, pointy ears. And she smiles at you. But then you look at her again. And you hear in your head, and you hear it too, Rayn, because you are in Rebus' head. You hear this voice that just came out of Rebus' mouth say, should have kept them safe. Should have kept them safe. You should have stayed away from him. You were pledged to this family. You failed us. Go back to your creator.
Rude. Rayn is just going to scoff at the woman speaking harshly.
The woman completely ignores you as if you're not there, Rayn.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. I can't recall. What is it? Did it do something wrong? Is somebody in danger?
You're like all of them. I trusted you. You hear a breaking, tearing sound, and as you look up, there are these tears appearing in the glass of the greenhouse. Shards of glass start falling around you. The two gnomes in their uniforms, they turn towards you, Rebus, and you look at them, and as the shards fall, you see that from underneath their clothing, the uniforms get stained with blood as the two just look at you. Their faces, their expressions are changing. They're smiling at you. They're happy to see you, but there's more splotches of blood appearing. Rayn, could you roll me something as if you were rolling a spell attack? So your spellcasting modifier and your proficiency bonus.
Am I trying to do something saving or something harmful? Like offensive or defensive? What's the mood?
Not neither in this case. I'm trying to use your spellcasting attack modifier as a way to gauge how good you are in sensing what's happening in a mind while you're using this spell in this way. So I'm trying to see how much you would notice of what's currently happening, what's actually happening now inside the mind of Rebus.
Okay. I think that's a 5 for a spell attack. I'm just gonna roll d20 plus 5.
Mm-hmm.
I am expending magic.
You're expending magic.
Oh, that's awful. Total 7.
Total 7. You just start now, as you also notice that the glass is shattering, the shards are falling, and these bloodstains appearing. You just start noticing your spell is coming apart. and you have no clue why it's coming apart. Like you start noticing that there is something pushing you out of this mind.
Rebus, I'm losing control.
And Rebus,
Wake up.
Can you do something? Do
Wake up.
something.
Wake up.
Can you heal them? You can heal. Can you?
and you see Rayn just dissolving. She flickers for a moment, and then she just fades out. All around you, Rebus, things start falling down, crushing, and you just hear this voice again. You'll pay. You'll pay like all of them. I'll have my vengeance. And that voice echoes, and it echoes, and
I cast Call Emotions on the other side.
I'm trying to.
Yes, Rebus?
And I'm trying to protect the people from the falling shards to not hit myself. I go to their bodies, try to see if I can see the wounds, if I can do anything just with medical knowledge. And I turn to the woman who was behind me as I am kneeling down holding these other two gnomes and just say, what did I do? What did I do? What is it? What did I do wrong? Tell me.
You're on the ground, holding the two gnomes. As she now stands over you, she's a gnome, she's not tall, but now that you're on the ground, she seems that much taller as she looks at you. And behind her, your entire memory is just coming apart. Blobs of darkness appearing, and she's just outlined by this destruction of memory. And she looks at you, and she refuses to answer as you feel a calming sensation rushing through your body, and you are pulled out of your own memory. For a moment, there's darkness, and then your vision is up again, and you see Rayn in front of you as she is channeling magic into you to calm you. And you do feel calm through that magic. But nonetheless, you saw what you saw. And both of you are back in the forest.
That was eventful. Are you all right? Let's check some boxes here, physiologically.
I believe so, yes. Are there any sparks?
Sparks give character.
I appreciate your optimism, Miss Rayn.
That was a bit troubling, yes. And whatever the underlying story or truth behind it all is, I feel sorry. It is unfortunate that someone as kind and caring as you has been on the receiving end of such negativity. But to continue this kind of positivity.
Worry me is if I do deserve a reaction. I'm worried about what problem I might have caused or who I might have hurt.
She was clearly lashing out.
But she didn't seem like the kind of person who would do that without reason. I still can't remember much about her, but I remember how her presence feels, and now I don't know if she's even still alive, so.
Well, one thing positive, so to say, you should take away from this experience is that you have memories that are your own, and you also have your thoughts. They are not the same, and we can sometimes use one to influence the other. If it is getting too dark and dreary, imagine that lovely sunset you put in. If that woman is being mean, perhaps it does well to reflect on her herself in a better mood before getting to know her ugly side.
You might be right. That sounds logical, at least. If I want to remember who she is, I can't start with our goodbye, I assume. So,
Well, minds and memories and thoughts are not
think.
very logical, so best of luck with that.
Yes, that's what I'm finding out. Thank you, Rain. I think I need some time to think. Hopefully we can continue once I've made sense of this first session. Are you okay? Did you get hurt? I don't quite know how the spell works, but
Nothing I can't handle.
okay. You have a very extraordinary mind, so I wouldn't want to damage yours as well.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
One broken one. Okay. I will get up and offer my hand to Rain to pull her up, and we'll go to where the others have hopefully made camp.
Talking about the others, while Rain and Rebus were out there, is there anything that the two of you, Delphine and Dythun, have been doing? I feel like we nicely alphabetically sorted people here. We had the two D's together and we had the two R's together. Is there anything you would do in the meantime?
Maybe.
That's a start.
Like, were they gone for like around 10 minutes probably?
The spell lasts a minute. I mean, that was the longest
Oh.
minute, but
That was,
mind.
but mind is different in time and everything. It's
I mean, we've all seen Inception, right?
exactly, we know how that works.
Yeah.
Yes.
It has been like, maybe at this point it would have been like they just vanished into the woods, and you're just sitting here with Delphine.
I think maybe like after a minute or so of awkward silence, Dythun would eventually just be like, so Delphine, we don't really talk much.
It's probably also not helpful that you're basically choking on your words there.
I was never very diplomacy was never really my strong suit, and I mean, honestly, social interaction fell even lower than that. More of a get things done kind of person.
Oh, you don't tell me, like a big person like you in a heavy armor with a big ass sword prefers to act instead of talking?
I mean, well, yeah. Well, I mean, I never. Never mind. He'll just kind of like mess with something in his bag. Just kind of
Okay, what do you want? Spit it out, please.
I don't want anything. I was just saying hello.
Yeah,
don't-
hello. Would you give me a hand that we can set up camp because it's getting late and I
Yeah,
don't know
sure,
how
of
long they
course.
will take. And
Something
I'm
to
not
get
good
done.
with making fire, to be fair.
Oh, I can do that easily.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Anyway, yeah, just I'll go get some firewood. Just like walk off.
You walk off and get some firewood, and thank God for the social dynamics, because when you come back for the firewood, Rebus and Rayn are also back, and
Oh, wonderful.
Oh my god.
it's like you're being like you're being left a room with that one coworker you really have a hard time talking to, and you like force this kind of conversation. But all of you are eventually
Yeah.
all of you are eventually back at the campfire that's being ignited as you gather around it.
I
And
think at this point, I don't know if it's a bit of overkill, but I think at this point, since everyone's kind of seen Dythun do it a few times, he's just gonna like firebolt to light the campfire at this point.
all right.
Even if it's maybe like it's a little too much at first.
There's a brief there's this brief flash fire as you ignite it with the firebolt, but it's a very good way to start a fire. And before you know it, these twigs all are burning nicely. Delphine.
So when Rebus and Rayn are coming back, I'll speak up to Rebus. Oh, it's good that you're back there. You're so eloquent and you know how to talk nicely and do like small talk and stuff like this. Dythun has no clue about this and he needs help. Like, really.
With what precisely is
Small talk.
diction or just basic etiquette? I see. I believe Miss Rayn would be more qualified for this. I still struggle in certain social situations.
I think she's too
I
sassy
think
for
I
this.
should lead you to the expert.
I think that Dythun is the kind of person who prefers to let their actions speak more than their words.
The problem is, if he wants to talk, he is just stumbling over his own words.
No, not necessarily. I'm gonna pull out my greatsword and charge at Dythun and say, "Talk!"
Just like as I get back with the firewood.
And there's now a Rayn charging at you while you hold the firewood, and
Shield.
I love this.
you
Like,
just cast shield.
Someone should make a compilation
just
of
cast
every
shield.
moment.
Out of a reaction.
Rayn
Someone
literally
should
just
make
kind
a
of runs
compilation
into
of, like-
Rebus, and as he goes into the
Sure.
shield, she didn't even swing. Just the sword goes clattering down. I'm not proficient.
There's just like this there's like this barrier that Rayn hits and like falls to the side. What are you
A Leonin of many words.
as he's currently stumbling over his words? What the hell? Should I be worried?
No, not particularly. I pick up the greatsword. Do you have use of this?
It's not really my style.
Not mine either.
I can hold on to it.
Otherwise, it's a bit of I don't even know why I carry it around. Maybe it'll buy us a nicer bed wherever when we get to town.
I think we all have enough money, so you don't need to sell your sword.
But if
Dythun
it's
will
a
hold his
question
hand
of
out to
comfort,
the sword.
Rayn will put in her golden-colored great sword, and it is like a completely golden hilt and blade, and is scaled. Like if you can imagine, like Aquaman armor kind of looking scale, like fish scales, but all gold.
Certainly is very unique and stylish. Very
Is there
flashy.
anything, like, can Dythun look it over? Like, is there anything special about the sword, or is it just a really well-crafted greatsword?
There is nothing magical about it.
But it is very well crafted. Alone the kind of details with the scales and everything worked into this. This has been made by a master craftsman.
Have you ever used this?
Yes.
For what?
Well, all Tritons of my stature have requirements to do some sort of basic training, and it was made very clear during my basic training that my proficiencies lie elsewhere.
Right. It seems almost like what I'm saying is there's not a scratch on it. Like it doesn't. It looks ornamental.
Oh, it is not
More than anything.
ornamental. This is standard issue.
Standard issue.
Yes.
I think that's more expensive than like everything I own.
My family does well.
Right. Well, here you go. Unless you want me to hold on to it, you're good. Okay.
I just whispered to Rebus. And in the end, she's some kind of princess in her tribe or something, and she just doesn't tell us.
I believe that's quite a plausible explanation, yes. But if you're curious, I'm sure she'd be happy to tell you if you asked. But
Might be something for a later time.
Eventually,
Anyway, how far away is this damn city where we need to walk to?
which is a good answer to a good question to answer after you take your long rest for the night, and you do find respite here. You do take a long rest. For anyone of you who use spells, click that
Long
long rest
rest.
button to regain those. And with the question of Delphine ringing in your ears as you wake up and start your walk in the morning, under a bit of a gray morning it is, there's a lot of clouds in the sky, a bit of morning mist and everything. You leave behind your campsite, and just after a few hours of walking, you actually come upon, you start noticing that you're walking into a herd of sheeps that are spread out through the field that you're walking through. And they're pretty big sheep and very woolly, and they don't mind visitors. They just come basically walk up to you, and you can hear the sheep go, "Moo,
What
moo."
is this?
Dythun,
It
Dythun immediately
stinks.
starts petting them.
These smell horrid.
One of them, Dythun, you're petting one of them, and another one just walks up to Rayn and just rubs itself past her. Moo.
Can I
Very
telepathically talk to
low-key.
this sheep to tell it to fuck off?
Does your telepathy need
No.
like an intelligence requirement?
I think it needs to know a language for flavor.
Oh,
of
it needs to
sake.
know. Sheep are generally not versed in languages, so
You can see. No, chosen creature can speak telepathically with each other. Huh?
Are you gonna be a Dr. Doolittle now, or?
I was kind of joking
Yes.
about this, expecting the answer to be left. No, I can't. But now that I'm reading this, oh no, must speak mentally in a language that the others know. So no,
No, no, okay.
I'm relieved.
the sheep. It's
Do
it's
you know
quite a
sheep?
it's quite a herd, and striding towards you now after noticing that some of his sheep seem to have, spotted you. There's this older gentleman with a bit of a skinny frame, but a very warm coat. This kind of dark brown gray mop of hair on his head, and like a very thick mustache. And he has this shepherd's cane that he walks with, and he walks to your group. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry if my sheep are kind of giving you a hard time. They just really like visitors. It's very early for visitors, I have to say.
I believe your sheep were no problem, good sir. Good morning to you. We're just on our way, a group of travelers.
Group of travelers coming from that direction, and he looks in the direction that you came from, and in the distance, after now you've been traveling for a few days at this point, far off in the distance, you can see through this mist and the clouds, you can see the outlines of the Grey Wall Mountains. It looks interesting direction to come from. Where you headed?
Okay, Dythun.
Ardev, right? Yes.
Ardev. Oh, wow. Nice place. Used to go there when I was younger, but now my legs, they're a bit stiff, and the walking takes all longer, and, a journey of a day becomes a journey of 2 days, and who has time for that? I tell you, my cattle, they need me. And he just starts talking about his animals, and he just goes into this full-blown story for a full minute before he stops himself. I must be mighty boring you. If you're going to Ardev, why are
No,
you
please.
why are you walking through my field? It's kind of a detour. Now, if you really want to get to Ardev, you just, and he since Dythun was the one that mentioned where you were going, he's stepping next to Dythun, and he's leaning next to Dythun, and then does this thing where he starts pointing out the directions, you just go a bit more northeast until you hit the road. It's maybe an hour walking, and then you follow the road to southeast, and you'll soon see Ardev. And by soon, I mean well, you look like some healthy whippersnappers. You'll see it in about a day of travel. Then you're there.
Right. Okay. So wait, we'll be there in a day, or we'll see it in a day.
Oh, I'm always so unclear on my descriptions. My wife used to say the same thing. Bless her heart. But you'll be there in about a day, unless some of you are slower. I don't know. You all look pretty fit.
Right. Oh, well. Thank you for the information.
Just being your friendly neighborhood shepherd here.
Well, we appreciate it. Sorry to intrude on your sheep.
And one of the sheep at that point comes up to the shepherd, and it goes "Mrr," and the shepherd pets it and goes "Ooh, they don't mind. They hang out all day with old Archie here, and they like to have some visitors from time to time."
Are you Archie? Then.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Well, mother called me Archibald, but I like to keep it on Archie.
Just looking at Rain as if she's joking, like.
Their eyes. What's wrong with their eyes?
One of
Pointing
them
at-
looks up at
Putting at the like their slit eye thing.
one of those sheep looks up at you, and they had these typical sheep eyes. It was like, ma.
Right, so northeast hour, we hit the road southeast from there, right?
Right.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yes.
No, that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
Good day to you then. Enjoy your walk. And
You
he-
too.
I've been petting the sheep. I've been petting the sheep this whole time. Just like, I must say, I find them quite delightful. These animals. They're so soft.
And there's actually, Rebus, as you're petting one of them, there's like a few others that come gathering around you, noticing that you give out pets. They just come gathering around, and they also want to be petted.
Yeah, I'm just reaching down and just like petting all of them on the head and just a good bowl of fluff.
But eventually, you do indeed follow the
As I
direction.
see we're moving.
Yeah, you're moving, and before you know it, you're away from the sheep. Rain, you're safe again from them, and you make your you do come to the road that Archie mentioned, and you start following it for another day of travel. And there's probably some rest here, some other discussions between the group, some funny things that might occur. But after another full day of travel, in a rainy morning, as you, whatever coats you might have, you pull them a little bit tighter. You do eventually, as you count back, about total of 6 days of travel, you see before you the outlines of a village surrounded by a fairly simple palisade. And as you approach it, you do actually see to the right of the road that you're walking on, you see actually a sign, an arrow sign that points to the direction of that village, and it says there in a nice font, Ardev. And that's a good point to take our break for tonight. So we're going to take a quick little break after all these kind of little fragments we had here in this half of the sessions. Let's take a 10-minute break, and then we'll be back in, in 10 minutes. Hope to see you then in 10 minutes. Thank you very much so far for joining us, and we'll be right back.
See you soon.
And we are back after a little break where we stretched our legs a bit, refilled our bottles, and had a little snack. And Austin might or might not even got some extra things for some tiny furry creatures. We're back here to continue tonight's session, and yes, exactly. Someone is pointing at the screen because there is indeed a cat on the screen.
Cat. What does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, that
Isn't it
means that
actually cheating?
I kind of.
if you do have the channel points, you might. Oh, the cat is already gone. Oh no, I still spot him. But if you do have the channel points, you can use it for Cat Vantage. But next to that as well, before we head back into a session, we're glad for the people that tune in to watch us play here. We like to play tabletop RPGs, but we also enjoy it when people come by, say hello, and chat along in the chat as well. And thank you very much, Gwenora, for the Cat Vantage for Delphine. Keep that in mind for a future role that you have gone. Anyhow, with the with you being here watching us, if you like what we're doing, why not follow us on our socials? We do have our link to our Twitter down below, where you can follow us to keep up to date to any updates, and maybe even spot extra cat pictures on our Twitter feed. You can also join our Discord, and of course, you can also follow and subscribe here on the Twitch channel if you enjoy what we're doing. Also, you can find our VODs here on Twitch right after the stream, but Ida also makes sure that the VODs come into our YouTube channel, which you can find on youtube.com/Horde of Tales, where you get our VODs with handy timestamps, and that's where you also find our shorts for a few of the highlights. And I have a feeling that already in the first hour of this session was some material for some new shorts that will be produced. So if you want to keep track of those, go to youtube.com/Horde of Tales and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think that's all.
I'm here to experience them, and I honestly go and watch all the shorts that get posted.
Exactly, because they're just fun
really
to watch.
good.
I actually sometimes when I watch one of these shorts, I'm like, I go up to my wife like, look, you have to watch this. This is hilarious. It's,
Aww.
So, yeah, and
I,
also don't forget to give a thumbs up on YouTube, because this is like gives us reach and helps us a lot, and is like means a lot to us.
yeah,
And
thumbs
also,
up.
it also shows that Ida's work is like so good. And
Aw.
yes,
It's all
Or
of
just-
us in there, so.
yeah, but you're cutting them.
And also, leave us on YouTube a comment. Comment on if you're rewatching the older stuff, leave us a comment. Just comment about what you liked about it. Comment about the cats you spot while you're watching. It's all fine. We're already happy if we have the people who come by here to watch and enjoy what we're doing. So that's already a great compliment that you're taking time to watch us doing this. With that being said, our adventurers have just arrived nearby Ardev, the village where they should find a way to hitch a ride back to Sharn. Because, quite frankly, you start to notice how much faster traveling is when you can travel by airship, how much easier it is to just soar through the sky and go from Sharn to the Grey Wall Mountains in about a day of travel time, and now you've almost walked a week out of the mountainside back into civilization. That might be a thought that crosses your mind as you enter the village of Ardev. Because Ardev, we can't call it a city. It is a large village at best. The houses here are mostly wood and stone. It has a fairly simple wooden palisade around the village. But what you would notice is that for a village of this size, it has a fairly wide main road. And you do see what that is for, because for a village of its size, there's a lot of wagons and carts and people out on the road for this early in the day. You're like at like 9 in the morning at this point. There's quite a hustle and bustle, and even in this dreary, not really rain, it's like this annoying soft drizzle rain. It's not really rain, but it's also not dry. So it just keeps, you get wet while actually really noticing that it's raining. Even out in this weather, there's a lot of people out here in Ardev who seem to unload cargo, sell their wares, make plans for where you travel next. You see people from all walks of life, from all kinds of ancestries. There's an especially fancy wagon that you walk by that is surrounded by a bunch of elves in fine wares. And you also come by this group of carts that are pulled by very muscular ponies. And there's this group of goblins that are currently busy exchanging cargo between these wagons that are pulled by these large ponies. And as you walk further through town at this point, you're kind of at the center of town. And you do see that many people also go or come from a large tavern/inn building, about 2 floors high, with quite the stables next to it for all these travelers and merchants that come by to stable their horses. And dangling over the entrance of the tavern and inn, you see this symbol of these 2 birds who have their backs to each other, and the symbol is actually carved as if the birds are like looking at each other, as if they're like kind of annoyed by each other. And underneath it, there's the name of the tavern, the Twin Nightingales. You're all here in Ardev. What would you like to do, adventurers?
I would like to investigate the muscular ponies. But that's a me. That's not a Dythun. So
Oh, I get it now.
I'm just very
So,
personally interested in these ponies. They sound incredible.
I bet they can do incredible things.
But anyway,
magic.
So, because quietly within our group, do we find someone who is somehow predisposed to disliking who you are not supposed to be, Delphine?
Sorry, can you repeat this? I was in my thoughts.
This House Orien, their
Yes.
symbol, what does that look like? What should we look for?
DM, can you remind me?
House
I think
Orien.
it's a unicorn.
It is indeed a unicorn.
Nobody knows.
Well, I was
should
asked out
know.
of character.
House Orien uses the unicorn as its coat of arms.
is it a very short unicorn?
It is a very muscular unicorn, and
It all leads back to the
Draw that,
ponies.
please.
It all leads back to the ponies.
Do the ponies have horns?
Only muscular ones.
Sorry.
No comment. Please, may we get on?
Sorry.
Yes,
I
I'm-
completely
I am-
stopped everything there.
I am waiting for what you people are going to do. Just
Yeah,
here.
I will tell Rayn how the emblem of House Orien looks like. God damn it.
And we need just simply flash what that person gave us. No relation to you, none whatsoever. And we have a right to Sharn. Sounds simple.
Hopefully it's that simple.
Any unicorn signs in this inn? At the Twin
No.
Nightingale?
Not at the inn. You could, if you want to take a bit more time to look around town, if you see anything. Would you like to just look around, or maybe also ask people to show you around if they might know where any House Orien establishment would be?
If we're at the inn, I'd like to ask the innkeeper, whoever's at the front desk, that we are looking
Mhm.
for the Orien outpost.
So you enter the inn, the Twin Nightingales.
Sure.
All right. It's coming in from the rain or from the drizzle out here. You step into the inn and the temperature is good in here. It's nice and cozy, and actually the moment you step in, there is delightful music coming from various angles of this place, but you don't see any musicians around here. In fact, there are quite some people here, but the place is not packed. But you don't know, where the music comes from. You hear it where it comes from, but you look where it should come from, but there's no musicians there. There's only like these kind of wooden boxes with a metal spindle on top of them. And there seems to be music coming from these little wooden boxes that is this music of a mixture of trumpets and drums with a little bit of a harp in there. And it's all these boxes who are spread out through different corners of this tavern. They play the same music and they're all in tune with each other. So it's not like one of them is a little bit ahead of the other. They're very nicely synchronized. There's also from the ceiling, there's multiple chandeliers that dangle and lights glowing on the candles. And as you approach and you get to it's not really a front desk, but shortly after the entrance, there's already one of the waiters coming up to you, and the waiter is an half-orc woman who's who walks up to you, and she's currently like has plates on both hands. Both of them are filled with glasses and plates and everything. And she walks up. Whoa, one moment. And she moves by you into the kitchen, and you can hear her shout something in the kitchen, drop things off. There's some cursing a little bit. She just said, yeah, go fuck you too. And she comes back out, and she smiles. She's all smiles and friendliness towards you. Good. Still morning, right?
If this is what you call for a morning, yes, good morning to you.
Yes, it's a terrible morning, but it's still a good morning. Welcome to the Twin Nightingales. What can I help you with? You're looking for a table for 4?
I look at my companions. Is there something that interests them? You've been walking. Maybe hot meal's nice.
I mean, you got
Yes, I guess a table would be nice.
A table, and also directions to the nearest House Orien outpost. I look around the tables.
All in the right order. Follow me. I'll point you to a table. And she brings you into the tavern part, and there's tables spread out all over the ground floor, but there's also these wooden staircases that lead up to an like elevated area of the tavern, where there's some more tables there as well. There's multiple hearth spread out through the room. All of them have crackling fires in them, which warm up the place. And you hear some conversations from different tables around you. The half-orc waitress leads you to one of the tables on the elevated area after you go up a few of the wooden stairs, the wood creaking a bit underneath your feet. And there's a table snug fit for all 4 of you, where she seats you, takes whatever things you would like to order. And as she writes down the order, said, you said there, you also wanted to know something about House Orien?
Yes.
Well, they run a messaging post here in Ardev, and also have a bit of a cargo caravan that comes through here. I think they should be have another one departing pretty soon.
What is pretty soon?
Usually, I think last one already left a few days ago. Should be time again for the next one to depart. They run these kind of combinations of cargo caravans, but coming along for the ride are also wagons and carts of people who prefer to travel in numbers. You know, road is usually pretty safe here in Breland, but could never hurt to travel alone. I guess I don't have to tell that to 4 people traveling together.
indeed.
Indeed.
But I think somewhere within the day, but you could probably check in with them if the pay's right. The Orien people take pretty much anyone with them. And of course, depends where you want to go.
If we were to wish to be under good graces, have a good price, whatever that may be, what are some things we ought to know about them? Is there a friendly name you can recommend?
Few things you should know about them. Well, I mean, guy that runs the place here, Brennan, he's a businessman. He understands the price of things, and he likes to keep things in order. But he's usually a pretty swell guy. He sometimes comes by here as well, has a few drinks, has a few laughs. I sometimes have a good time with him, but he's still a businessman after all.
Does he normally come in around this time of day?
No. Gods, no. He has business to do. He has ledgers to write in, calculations to do, maps to read. You know, boring stuff. But profitable stuff.
All right. One continental breakfast.
Good old Breland breakfast for you.
Got any local ales? Anything special?
Well, Ardev isn't really known for its local brews and everything, but we still have a cask of Grey Wall Grey in the kitchen. It's a bit of a, I have to say, might be a bit of a strong one for a breakfast beer, but hey, I'm not your mother.
No, you're not. I'll take one.
I take one as well.
2 Grey Wall Greys, all right.
And the breakfast.
And the breakfast for you too, Leonin?
Yes.
Perfect. Is there anything I could get for you, Warforged?
I think I'm okay as I am, thank you.
Perfect. And you see that the waitress quickly glances you up and down, and then just nods. All right. Be right back with your breakfasts and your beers. And enjoy your stay. And she wanders off down the creaking stairs again as you are left alone, the 4 of you. I would at this point, what's everyone's passive perception? That's a 10?
14.
11.
14?
12.
Is there someone?
11
corner.
from me and 12 for Rebus.
12 from Rebus. Ah,
Was it?
sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't catch that. Okay.
Oh,
No, all right. It's good to know. You sit there and wait for your food, and eventually the waitress returns with the Breland breakfast, which is a nice balance of a very dark bread and a mix of various cheeses on it, scrambled egg, good portion of scrambled egg, and also for those who ordered it, a Grey Wall Grey, which, as it's put here in the jug that is into the mug that is put in front of you, it doesn't look like your typical heavy dark beer. You look into it and it actually has a bit of a grayish tone to it, living up to its name. And there is a bit of a very raw smell coming off of it. You're not really sure if it's still safe to drink kind of smell.
One way to find out.
Right?
Yeah, don't care.
Whoop. You take a few sips, or you take a good sip of it, and there's a bouquet of tastes in there as it goes down your throat, and at first you think you took a sip of sewer water, but once it rolls down out of your mouth, there's a few other flavors unfolding. There's a bit of an earthly, earthly flavor in it, and that soon makes room for just a very bitter ale taste. It's almost a bit kind of similar to what you would expect from an IPA beer eventually. But it starts very rough and it takes some
Marcus?
time to get better.
Marcus, I'm sorry to say, but if it starts a sewer water, I don't care that you overlay other flavors on top.
Well,
It's still sewer water.
well, to be fair, a good Riesling can sometimes have the smell and profile of a freshly opened can of tennis balls. And yet
Yeah.
the bouquet comes afterwards.
Okay.
It sure is an experience. And you generally take in your beer and your breakfast, and I assume that once you've had a bit of time to dry up in here, you would like to go check out that House Orien station, or is there any other business you have around here?
Is wagon and car truly the fastest way back to Sharn?
I mean, you can walk.
It's not much faster, Delphine. Are you able to outwalk a wagon and cart?
I think that answers your question.
It does not answer mine.
You asked if there's any other way than carts and wagons towards Sharn.
I said if there was a faster way.
Yeah, faster way. And clearly, if you don't want to walk, this is the fastest way.
Ugh. We need to kill your not cousin quickly and take his airship.
Listen, this is my problem.
No, there is no problem, remember?
I'm not
here.
going to your family and just kill one of them.
They
because
didn't
you
try
can't.
to kill.
You
They
don't.
didn't try to kill me.
Not yet.
Touche.
Not yet is a very good thing to say there. You know how family is.
Hell.
So okay, let's check them out.
To
All right.
Brennan, the
Brennan.
business happy, boring, profitable person.
Exactly. And it's not hard to find the House Orien way station here. It is just a bit beyond the central square, where you also leave the tavern. And if you thought the tavern had a large stable attached to it, the way station has a stable attached to it that is twice the size. And as you approach, you can already hear and smell horses and other beasts of burden as you come close to the way station. And attached to the stables is a building that is a combination of living space and administrative space. And above its entrance is the sigil of House Orien, a beautiful unicorn. And actually, the horn on the unicorn on the sigil is painted in a prismatic color. So when the light shines on it, it actually has a bit of a rainbow sparkle over it in the on this sigil. And as you approach, you can already see that on the entrance, flanking the entrance to the way station, are two guards who are standing there. They have these, instead of helmets, they have these hats on to keep the drizzle out of their faces. But for the rest, they're wearing chainmail, they have a spear, and they just look at you as you approach. And basically just keep an eye on who's approaching. You don't really get the feeling that they're trying to keep anyone out or something. They just keep an eye out that there's no funny business happening around the way station.
I nudged
mean, if-
Delphine over.
Yeah, if they're not keeping us out, then we will just go in, I guess.
All right. You go in, and as you open the door, you hear this this bell that's rang as you enter the door. And you can hear now on the inside, there's the sound of feathers and quills going over parchment, writing. You hear that sound of the needle on a quill scratching the parchment and the paper. You hear people talking with each other. You hear from the end of the room, you hear someone shouting, "Where did that shipment go?" And then someone shouting like, "I don't know, and stop asking me." And there's some conversations. You walk by this duo of there's a dwarf and a human standing there, and the human goes like, so I tell her, "Why the long face?" And the dwarf goes, "Oh, if you tell me this joke one more time." And he there's a bit of all these, you get the feeling that there's a lot of administrative work going on here, people taking notes, writing in ledgers, but there's also a front desk here in this room, and there's a line in front of the desk. And actually, as you approach, the four of you, who of you would step in first?
I was nudged forward, so
Okay.
I don't have any upper chance.
You step forward, or you come in, and the moment you enter, after you hear the bell ringing, there's this little piece of paper flying into your hands, and it's on the paper, "Your number is 34 on the paper. And over the front desk, there's a sign which there's illuminated on there a number which says 17.
For fuck's sake.
Your number is 54.
And
If I walk around, do people have their paper like openly in their hand?
some of them, you see some who like stand there impatiently with their paper in hands. Others might have it tucked away somewhere.
What kind of people are those holding 18, 19, and 20?
You want to take a look?
Yeah.
All right. There's for 18 for 19 and 20, the 20 is a number that's being held by a broad-shouldered dwarf, a dwarf woman who has her brown hair in this very tight ponytail, and she has her arms crossed in front of her chest, and she's like tapping the ticket impatiently against her upper arm, and also tapping her feet in the same rhythm. 19 is you see an elf who is accompanied by a halfling, and they're in conversation with each other, and the elf is like gesturing with his hands while he's holding the ticket, and they seem to have a bit of an argument with each other while they're waiting in line. But then 18 is a gnome woman who stands there in a very straight posture, and who has this full blonde hair with gray streaks in them, and a face that
I've seen before.
Yeah.
Rebus. Mentally. Telepathically.
Yes.
This is very unlike me. I'm going to cause a commotion. However, unrelated to the commotion, there might be someone that here looks a bit familiar. Gander at that gnome person with the thick golden hair. And as I say this, I'm going to walk towards the entrance, and I want to get 18, 19, 20. Gnome was 18?
Yes. Basically, next up.
I'm gonna aim for mostly 1920.
Mm-hmm.
But from a straight line away, using subtle magic, so nothing that says that I cast this, I hope. And I want to cast Gust of Wind with the intention of getting these tickets that are in their hand flying out of there.
Can you remind me what subtle spell exactly says?
Yes. Let us read some things. You spend a sorcery point to cast without any somatic or verbal component. So,
Gotcha. All right. So basically, without anyone noticing, you cast the Gust of Wind, and you try to blow the numbers from their hands.
yeah, so not to cause harm. I want to aim it like at a space below their feet. Like I'm not trying to like hurt them to have to make rolls or anything, but strong enough that papers are gonna go flying.
Okay.
And then once I see papers go flying, I want to cast invisibility and pick up a number.
Okay. Before you do that, there's a few
Yes.
things happening.
Yes.
You do cast Gust of Wind without anyone noticing that you're actually casting magic. It's the beauty of subtle magic. You just suddenly there's this strong gust of wind inside while you're sure you close the door behind you. No way there's wind blowing in here. And it is angled at like the people in front of the line who are suddenly like blasted by that wind. However, as you cast the spell, you hear around you that there's these alarm bells going off. And suddenly everyone stops, everyone who's working here stops what they're doing, and you actually see coming out behind one of the desks, standing up from behind the desk, is this human woman who immediately makes a few gestures and you notice that the area where your magic is cast, Rayn, you notice that the spell is being suppressed at this point, as if it has been dispelled in a magical way. And the alarms keep going off like as there's being as there's magic being cast, and it's it's loud, and there's people looking around. Some of the people in line, they start being annoyed, more like, oh, geez, this as well. And the woman, the gnome woman, all the way in the front, she's just standing there, and she's like, the breeze was blowing at her, but now she's just looking. And as that's happening, the number goes from 17 to 18, and she's taking her turn.
Are
Go ahead.
the alarms still going off?
The woman that cast the dispelling magic, she steps into the room where the waiting line is. She looks around. She can't really, and then she just snaps her fingers, and the alarms stop. And she says in a very annoyed tone, I would kindly remind every visitor of the way station that unsanctioned use of magic is against House Orien house rules and can be punished with expellation from every way station of House Oriens. Do we understand? And there's some mumbling. Do we understand? Yes, 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 from some people in the line.
Dythun just slowly looks at Rayn.
Which you did not see her move her arms or open her mouth in any way.
That was convenient.
So she is.
However, Rayn, one final thing. As you stand there and you hear this woman tell everyone to not use unsanctioned magic, you see blowing towards your feet is number 18 at your feet now. And you still see that the first odor of number 18 is like, look at, where did my paper go? Where did it go?
Step on it immediately.
And you get 18.
Who was it that said, how convenient? I walk over to them and I show them the number.
Right.
I put my arm on Dythun's arm, just kind of like, it's okay. It's fine.
Right. Wonderful. Looks like we're next.
And it is at this point that bing, the number goes to 18. And the woman, the gnome woman with the full blonde hair, but with these gray streaks running through them, she walks past the line towards all of you. And Rebus, you now also get a very clear picture of her.
By the way, I wanted to say, when Rayn pointed her out, it was like, I would just look at her and then hide behind Dythun.
That is unusual.
Try to stay out of her visual range. It's suddenly very nervous and tense.
Can you give me a stealth check?
And just keeping an eye on where she's going.
Rebus, can you give me a stealth check?
Aw. I'm almost disappointed at it, but that's a nice roll.
I'm always disappointed at it, but that's a nice roll. Natural 20 for a 22.
You do find the right timing to hide behind your fellow.
It's
You're
echoing
echoing.
back.
Cooking.
Thank you. You hide behind Dythun as the woman walks by. You can still spot her, and she walks like with this very straight posture, wide stride, and she stops for a moment. And Dythun, since you're since you're now being used to be hidden behind, you're standing there, and the woman.
Dythun will like make himself kind of bigger, stretch out a little bit.
The woman stops and she looks at you. She looks at the rest of the people here. And she just gives a quick smile and walks out of the building. And you can hear from the front desk, number 18.
Wait, who are you pushing to the front?
I think because Dythun was the one who commented how convenient, she gave him the paper.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah,
So-
I guess Dythun walks forward then.
We can all go together, I mean.
You can go all to the front desk together. And you see there's this desk, and there's separating you from the person behind the desk is a glass wall, but there's this little cutout there which allows you to talk with each other. And sitting behind that is this human man who has a bit of a big balding spot on the top of his head, and looks like he's have a bit of a 6 o'clock shadow on his face, and he has these very big black lines under his eyes. And as a lot of you approach, he looks at all of you. Welcome to the Ardev House Orien way station. What business do you have with House Orien?
We're looking to get some passage back to Sharn.
Passage back to Sharn. Just person passage, or do you have any cargo? I would like to refer you that according to the peace treaty, there is a number of goods that we are not allowed to ferry. These goods include, and he goes listing off a list of things. Is that clear?
Yes.
Are you then having any of those goods listed in your cargo?
DM, do we
think
have those
so.
items listed in our cargo?
Nope. No. No.
Okay,
He's-
and I think we're good.
yeah.
Delphine will hear telepathically. Didn't you have something that would perhaps expedite this process?
I have, but I just like to see Dythun struggling.
I'm struggling. Listening to this bureaucracy.
Right, so just the four of us, only the cargo we carry with us.
All the way to Sharn.
Preferably.
One moment. And he turns around. He has this little stool that he can turn around on, and behind him is a table with maps and everything. And he takes these tools to start measuring things out on the map, writes down some notes. You see him then at a moment thinking. Drop the 0. Okay. And then he turns back to you. All right. Travel by personal transport on one of our type class 2 carriages all the way back to Sharn would be for a group of 4 with your cargo for a distance to Sharn, which I have to inform you would be a total traveling time of about 11 days, would make about 25 gold pieces per person.
Dythun just slowly turns to Delphine.
And what if we are calling in a favor?
Ma'am, if I would get a gold piece myself every time someone claims they could call in a favor here, I would have already retired and started my own business.
And I take out the sigil that we got.
And he like you take it out. He's just stopped his sentence and he sees it and he goes like you see immediately the response like I regret what I just said on his face. And you take it out and he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. This is out of my pay grade. Would you hold on a moment, please? I need to speak to my supervisor." And
Sure.
he goes way away behind the chair, and there's some people in line who look past you, and they now see the guy walk away from the front desk. And the people in line are like, "Why is he walking away? What's?" And you hear someone back of like, "Hey, what's taking so long?" And
I just like turn around and growl at them.
"Oh, my bad," you hear from the back of the line. And after about 5 minutes of waiting, the front desk employee comes back and says, "Would you please go down the hallway to your left? Final door on the right. Mr. Well, I'm sorry, Lord Brennan would like to see you."
Sure.
Thank you
Thank you
very
for your
much.
time.
And enjoy your stay and all the services House Orien has to offer. And he looks at
Enjoy that
Delphine.
gold piece you're going to get. Because you just said.
Yes, sure.
Dythun's actually gonna take out a gold piece and give it to him.
And
The poor man just
he just
Yeah.
he takes the
know,
gold
poor
piece
guy.
and he looks at you. He's just still baffled at what happened. And as you walk away, you can hear behind you again that ping of the number turning to the next number. If you walk down the hallway, you walk by some offices, and at the end of the hallway, there is a door to the right, which is already slightly ajar. And as you approach, you can hear from inside the door, "Yep, come in."
Okay, going in there.
Going
And
in.
as you enter, you see this guy. He can't be older than like 20 years. It's this human of like maybe 20 years old, has this widow's peak black hairstyle, and he's in very he has a kind of style that looks like he's spending a lot of money to not look like he's spending a lot of money. Like he tries to look like very down to earth like the regular people, but you just notice the kind of clothing. It's high grade quality, it's good fabrics and everything. And
it's all brand clothing.
right,
Just the casual
right,
brand
exactly.
clothing.
There's like a blazer. He has a blazer on
hate-
that tries to look like it's like of the common people, but he just gives off the vibe that this person was fed with a golden spoon from the day he was born. And he sits there with his boots up on his desk, and he's currently like flipping through a report of something. He sees the four of you enter. "Well, hello there." He puts the report down, takes his feet off there. "I have
General
to say,
Kenobi.
I was expecting my entire morning would just be preparing for the next transportation routes and doing some more calculations, and I was really looking forward to that, I have to say. But then my guy at the front desk, he comes in and he says, Brennan, you won't believe that." No. You know how he said it? He said it was like, but Brennan. He was nervous. The guy was nervous. And I'm like, calm down, Peter, calm down. What do you want to tell me?" And he says, "Brennan, there's people and they have a sigil of me here." And I say, "That's impossible. I don't hand out my sigil to everyone. There's only a few close people I give it to." And he says, No, it's real. And he showed me. And I'm like, "Okay, bring him in here." So you have that sigil with you? Do I have to tell Peter that he lied to me, or do you actually have this sigil?
We have that sigil, and I'll take it out again.
Well. I'll be damned. And he walks over to you, Delphine, and he's a good bit shorter than you. And he walks over to you, he looks at the sigil. All right.
Weird snicker.
So, What do you want to cash that in for?
We just need like a nice fast transportation back to Sharn.
Nice and fast. I mean, and yes, you seem like he's thinking about saying something. Like he just has this expression that he has like this snide remark to make, but he's withholding himself from making it. And he says, "We do have pretty fast horses here with good carriages that you can travel in. I could put you in one of our luxury carriages, leaving in the morning. Doesn't make it that much faster. We'll still have to exchange horses at some places. Would still be about a 10, 11-day journey down to Sharn. But you would do it in style."
I'm looking to the rest of the group.
Is there a way to prioritize fast over nice?
You see, by the graces of the house I'm from, I am gifted with a few things that can accelerate travel, but I have not been given any kind of magics that allow me to make the horses go that much faster. We already have some excellent draft horses that pull carriages and that do their best to bring you to wherever you want to go as fast as you will.
In that case, I think style fits pretty well.
I suppose that is the limitation of land travel.
Who burn?
Said Rayn very politely with a
Rayn?
smile
Wow.
on his face.
Can you? I know you say it politely.
I
but
know
could
exactly what I did.
Could you please give me an intimidation or persuasion check, or even performance if you wanted to? Like,
I'll go persuasion. Okay,
I want to see how you hurt this guy.
you
Oh
pretty dice
wow!
have been hurting me all night, so I'm just gonna do a different dice.
Oh wow!
Ooh, that is a 17 plus 5.
For persuasion or
Persuasion. I guess I'm putting
persuasion.
I'm really
17
believing those words earnestly.
17 plus 5, so a 22. And you'd say to him, "That's the limitation of land travel." He just looks at you. "I guess it is, isn't it?"
What could one do to break those limitations?
"I don't know. Maybe learn to fly?"
Oh, that'd be nice.
Sure would be, wouldn't it?
I
Well,
just
Luxury
enjoyed this conversation.
transport?
Yes, luxury transport.
I'll have a cart prepared by this afternoon. I do have to
Wonderful.
inform you. You might have to share for a part of the way with another traveler that was able to get luxury transportation. She, however, paid for it instead of claiming favors that were meant for others.
Then I think you should send your greetings to Darian de Lyrander.
He, at that point, he got back to behind his desk. He sits down in his chair and he just looks at you as you mention that name. "Oh, I will when I have the chance again. But in any case, you meet him before me. And once you come back to Sharn or something in your fancy cart that I have now provided to you. How about you tell him I said hello?"
Oh, how cordial.
Very cordial, but he will know the tone I have said it in.
Anything else?
Could you repeat that again so we ensure we have the correct tone upon delivery? Enunciate, please.
At this point, all his friendly demeanor and happy-go-lucky face has vanished, and he's just looking at you. luxury transportation this afternoon. Oh, and leave the token with me here.
And I flip it over.
He like catches it. Fucking Darian, he whispers. And yeah.
I'm gonna risk it. One more spell slot, a sorcery point.
No.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
she will
No.
doom us all.
Detect thoughts.
Oh god.
The shallow one.
The shallow one.
Mhm.
Rebus.
Fuck.
I would like to point out, just before anything happens and goes down and it's terrible, oh my god, I hate speaking with these. I can't hear myself, it's awful. Is that door closed? Like,
If you came in, if you wanted to, you could have closed it. Yeah, if you want to keep it open.
I wanted to keep it open a bit. I want to keep an eye on the blonde woman.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Just like throughout the conversation, kind of leaning back and looking for the door.
Gotcha. Keeping an eye on your exit strategy. And you while you do that, Rayn, you gotta cast Detect Thoughts for the surface thoughts?
Surface thoughts. Subtle magic. So sorcery
Subtle
spell
magic.
point spent. I'm gonna get this
Make-
big ass thing on astral.
Okay.
So I'm just like leaning back, kind of listening to their words like this.
And as you do that, like you make the connection at the point that he says, like under his breath, like fucking Darian. And as you go into the surface thoughts, you see an image of a very loud casino-like place. All kinds of shine and sparkle, and there's being dice rolled. And you see Darian, the Lyrander, standing next to Brennan. Both of them are fancily dressed, and you hear them both laugh. All of them like throwing at their heads as they're laughing, leaning on each other as they're just gambling the evening away. And then very briefly later on that surface thought, it moves over to both of them like walking back to some luxurious apartment and just walking into the same room. And then there's just an image of Darian just like standing on the top of his airship, just waving at Brennan as he's flying away on his ship. That's all you can get from the surface thoughts.
Okay.
And you see Brennan sitting there. I think our business is concluded here, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Good.
And thank you for the transport, and always nice to do business with your house.
It absolutely is. It's always great to do business with your house as well. Absolutely. It's a joy.
Oh yeah, it is.
Will you be seeing us off at departure time?
I
Is
have
that a
lot-
part of the luxury accommodations?
I have a lot of work to do. Friendly Triton lady. I'll see what is possible. But don't keep a seat warm for me.
Before we leave, could I ask who we're sharing this carriage with?
I guess you won't leave until I tell you, would you?
I kind of look at like Rayn, probably not.
And he like flips open one of his books, goes through a list of names. Oh, well, you're right. Just got a bit more interesting. You're actually going to have some old royalty with you in that carriage. It's good old Aria Ocula Erkoran is going to join you. I'm going to give you that name in chat.
Thanks.
It's a mouthful. Seems like she's once again back from one of her many vacations and goes back to her estate in Sharn.
Interesting.
Does
Yes.
that name ring any bells?
What would ring a bell for most of you is that in the last name, there's the prefix er, the IR, and that's usually reserved for landed nobility in Corvair. So if you are of any kind of noble line and you are an heir to that line, or you're actually the ruler of some kind of nobility, then you have the heir in front of your last name. Similar to, for example, if you're from a dragon marked house, you often have like the D in front of your last name, like the De Lyrander, like Delphine would have it. But if you have a dragon mark and you have you can never have like the IR in front of your last name, the because as a dragon with a dragon mark, you are never allowed to hold any kind of political power officially. So the actually points to certain nobility. For the remaining part, if you want to try to what you recall, give me a history check.
Oh, that's a natural 20 for a total of 19.
19? Well, the only thing that you could think of with what rings a bell for you for Koran is during your time in the war, you did hear some of the people talk about the library of Korenberg, which is in Zelargo, which is a gnomish city, or I think even a country. Have to look that up. And the library of Korenberg is known to be one of the most expansive and best equipped libraries of the entire continent. And the Koran family is linked to that library.
Wonderful.
Brennan gently gestures you eventually out of his office, and in the afternoon, your carriage is made available. You come back to the way station at one point, and you see that there's already lots of the entire traveling caravan has already gathered around the way station. You see multiple wagons and carts pulled by various horses and other beasts of burden. Some carts have like casks and boxes on them. There is some big wagons which actually are these almost like these like old school frontier wagons, and they are meant for like the cheaper people transport. In one of these wagons, you can see that easily like 30 people are fitted in there for this for the transportation. But further towards the back of the caravan that is slowly forming, there are indeed finer carriages pulled by the stronger, more elegant horses, and also fairly.
Not the muscled ponies.
He's waiting for the muscle ponies.
There is in the traveling caravan, there is at least one wagon somewhere that is pulled by the muscled ponies, and there's enthusiastic goblins on it, and they.
I want to ride with them.
You come to a large carriage, beautifully crafted out of wood, and actually, instead of wheels, the carriage is levitated by magic off the ground.
Just kidding, I want to ride in this one.
The carriage is made out of this beautiful, dark, almost black wood. It has, even on the edges, on like the corners of the carriage, carved into the wood are figures. These beautiful nymph-like figures that just reach with their hands up above. And actually, in their hands, there are these scones that you could place a torch or an everlight lantern into. And sitting on the bench to steer the horses, you see this also very fancy dressed gentleman sitting there. He has like a black top hat, and as you approach, he just takes off his hat and like says to you, "Good day to you," as he readies the horses. And while you approach this carriage, you also see who is joining you in this carriage. Approaching from the other side the first thing you see are the Warforged. 2 large metal and wood figures. Not as tall as Rebus, but certainly wider, broader in shoulders and frame. Bulky shoulders, thick arms ending in wood and steel covered fists. Their entire presentation looks like the more, as far as you can say that, standard Warforged that you would come across in Eberron. And also, instead of having any faces on them, their faces are just covered with metal plates. No expressions, no eyes, no imitation of any kind of facial expression, just metal plates. They flank a way smaller figure, a gnome woman with indeed bushy blonde hair and gray streaks in that hair. They go through her hair as lightning would go through the sky. There are folds around her eyes. Her forehead looks older. Generally, you get the expression that she is somewhere middle-aged for a gnome. But she walks with a certain grace and pride where she goes. And she can keep up with the large strides of the Warforged that flank her. And you can hear this steps of the Warforged as they approach. And the woman now comes also to you, and she stands there, quickly greets the rider of the carriage, and she looks at all 4 of you. Good afternoon. And Rayn and Rebus, the voice is exactly like the voice in the vision. I have been informed that I will be having some guests on the ride today.
That would be us, I presume.
It most certainly would. And she does this curtsy to all of you. Aurea ocula Corin. And who am I traveling with today?
Well, I'm afraid we lack a group name, but we could share individual names if that is sufficient.
That would be most efficient. I don't expect everyone to have a group name for something. I would also at this point like everyone to make an insight check, please.
Yeah, I was like gonna
Yeah.
ready to
Everyone
ask.
make an insight check.
I was like, where's he gonna do? Where's he gonna say? Oh
I'm so good at those.
Oh, this is not bad.
no! Why did I spend all my spell slots? Worth it, but oh.
14.
14? 4?
18.
18.
30-20.
30-20. Whew.
Thank
Yep.
God.
Delphine and Dythun, you're looking at this exchange. And this is a very polite gnome woman. She's kind and nice. But you do notice that while she's talking, she's keeping an eye on Rebus.
Just objectively, do we notice the similarities in the materials of the Warforged between Rebus and those that are accompanying the gnome woman?
If you would notice anything, that there is like almost no similarities between Rebus and those Warforged. Rebus is this very unique, stylish, more sleeker model of Warforged. These are almost squarish, broad-shouldered, and way simpler in design. They don't have any fancy frills and stuff on them. They're just very efficiently designed. And they look completely identical to each other, the two Warforged.
Yeah, most Warforged are made of wood and metal. Like the materials are similar.
I wasn't sure that was a uniqueness. Gotcha.
Well, don't be shy. What are
Oh,
your
right.
names?
I forgot we were asked that. I think Dythun would turn to see if anyone else is introducing themselves first.
I just make a gesture that
Well,
he can
yes,
introduce
I-
himself.
I am Rayn Undinath.
I was gonna say,
pleasure.
started the
Nice to meet you. And she looks at the other two. I think Delphine and Rebus haven't introduced
Yeah.
themselves.
My name's Delphine. And this is my friend Dythun. I'm pointing towards the Leonin. He's a bit shy. He doesn't talk that much.
Delphine didn't bring up a last name, right?
No.
No.
Okay.
Good.
Dythun will just kind of nod.
and I am Rebus. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Rebus. It truly is a pleasure to meet you. All of you. Now, are there by any chance any lovers of history among you?
Rayn is proficient in history. So lovers, not necessarily, but versed, yes.
Oh, I was just asking. I think this journey will go a bit by quicker if I would have a conversation partner. I'm very intrigued about history and some of the more esoteric topics, to be honest. But that's all conversation for in the wagon. No, wait, I have one final question. Do all of you enjoy freshly baked bread?
Oh, well, I think certainly.
Well, most of you, I assume. Then I think I've made the right arrangements with Brennan for, in regards to food provided on our journey. The carriage is equipped with all luxuries that you would need. Well, that we would need indeed. I heard that you will be traveling all the way to Sharn, if Brennan informed me correctly.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, then we shall not make the entire journey together. I will already leave at Galeth Spire before we cross the Dagger River. But we'll have a few days together and travel. But we won't get anywhere if we just talk like this. And as she says that, one of the Warforged walks up to the door of the carriage and pulls it open. And then with another arm, gestures everyone in.
I guess we all go in.
I look for Brennan.
Make a perception check.
It's like he's around. I don't know. Oh, finally I rolled somewhat decent. 16 total.
16. You look up and down the column of the different other wagons and everything if you spot him. And somewhere a few wagons over, you see him. You see Brennan, who's currently in conversation. He has like this long overcoat on, and has in one hand he has these bunch of papers, and he's smacking them with the other hand as if he's like really explicitly stating something. And he's at the card with the muscular ponies and the goblins on them, and you can't hear what he's saying, but he's just really angrily looking at the goblins while he's smacking a pile of papers.
Am I 30 feet within him?
Not really, no.
Am I so far away? I want to project telepathically, but if it's too far and I'm ready to go,
What's the maximum range of telepathy?
30 feet. That's my question.
Yeah, you would have to like at least get about like 20 feet closer or something to do that.
I'd like to do that. I just
You
make
wonder-
the connection and quickly walk back, but I want to make the connection.
You wander over, make the connection.
And as I'm walking back to the carriage, Brennan will hear in their head, I asked how you wanted to convey your greetings to Darian Lyrander. Because based on the way he has treated me and my companions, those might be the last things he hears. Toodles.
And he's just standing there, no clue where it came from. And he's just looking around. And there's one of the goblins that he's been talking to is just suddenly like, sir? Sir? And down and Brennan is, huh? And then he looks to your direction as you
I've been walking
yeah,
away.
you've already like wandered up. You're just standing there and getting into the cart. And the last thing you see that you would see of him, Rayn, is that he's just looking super confused at what you just said into his mind.
Close.
And all of you get in.
Why would you like?
Oh.
Why would you let someone know who can let him know that we're going to murder him?
They're not friends.
We didn't say we murder him.
Well,
I
we did.
Well,
Also, while we are getting into the cart and there was the remark of Lord Brennan, I will just say, oh yeah, Lord Brennan is like, he makes sure that everything is arranged in the right way, isn't he?
I've traveled often with him, she says. He is very accurate in his work. And if all of you enter the cart, you see that the inside of the carriage is large and has more than enough space for all of you. There are pillows and blankets. There's a levitating Everlight lantern in the center at the ceiling that has a very warm tone to it, illuminating the inside. And there is already, on some low tables, there's already crumpets and biscuits and tea and other things that have already been served. And you see Aria, who steps in. She sits down on one of the pillows. Ah, chocolate chip, my favorite. And she takes one of the cookies. You would also notice that the Warforged, there's one of the Warforged comes into the carriage as well and just closes the door behind them and then just sits in front of the exit of the car, just sits down and just, because you can't see like where they're looking, they just have this metal plate over their face, just sits there. The other one does not enter the cart. And after a few moments of getting a bit acquainted, you hear that there's a bit of shift of weight at the front of the cart. And eventually you hear from outside the "Here!" as the horses start moving. And because there's no wheels to this wagon, you don't feel the sensation of the wheels starting to move, this grinding feeling of moving over the road, but you just are gently pulled behind the horses as you're now in a wagon. Yes, Rebus?
Just want to still make an interstitial before anything happens. So I'm still kind of tense. You know, Rebus usually has I have a more relaxed demeanor, but I'm very stiff, just sitting there, just straight back and kind of lightly tapping my fingers on my lap, looking at Rayn, Delphine, Dythun. And do I get anything else from seeing this woman like in the flesh in front of me after seeing her in my memory or my dream? Like, does anything come up after hearing her name, after actually hearing her voice?
You would hope so, wouldn't you? That after seeing this figure that you've seen in a memory, that the voice you've heard in this memory, now putting a name to it, that there would be something unlocking on that, some kind of just a chain reaction of memories flooding back in. And you're really trying to find that. But all you have right now is nothing except for the knowing that you've seen this person before. You've been just a few days ago in a vision in one of your memories with Rayn, where it was this person that told you that you didn't help, that she would come for vengeance for you. Mind you, in your vision, she looked younger. She looked fresher. But this is still the same person. And it feels like there are some memories missing, and wherever they went, they would explain this. At this point, all you can do is hope that you can find these memories before whatever this person might really want to do, maybe even gets to do without you fully understanding what happened. But for now, she's just sitting in a cart with you and your companions. And she's eating cookies and drinking tea. And she's making small talk with your other companions. Just sometimes in between, when she thinks no one is really looking, she just quickly gives you a glance. With no judgment, no smirk, no frown, just a quick glance. And that's all there is for now. As you're slowly making your way back to Sharn in this carriage. And that's where we're going to end today's session. Pick up later.
Wow.
But no!
That
But
took a turn.
no!
Yummy,
I'm
yummy
so
drama.
depressed.
Yummy, yummy drama.
I feel like Rebus is just sitting and they're thinking,
I'm in danger.
Just like this dramatic zoom in, like.
On the one side,
Oh.
I feel sorry for Rebus. On the other side, it's like, oh yeah, I'm here for it.
I can make popcorn for the next session. Ooh.
I'll
The,
send me some.
and the
Rebus, if
you-
Rebus could sweat, like.
I mean, also, I think there's a tendency. I like how you people deal with people from dragon marked houses. Like, you're just like Brennan, that guy. He's just like really putting in that burn there against him. Like,
That's just rain.
That was a good
ah,
placed burn.
guess that's the limitations of land travel. Beautiful, beautiful. No, that was. I think this session had a lot. We had a very few good laughs at the start with a very good heartfelt laughs. We had some deep dives in memories. We had people from someone's background coming back, and you people are still not back in Sharn. And it's
Sorry, it's taking forever.
nope, no problem. I
talked
hope that you people have fun with like the roleplay vignettes and the little bits that you can do here as well, because I don't really want to rush things along there. And I think we had some cool character development for everyone and some cool scenes here. So that's totally worth it. No worries.
Can't we play longer?
Well, we will be playing next week again, but I do think
Yes.
next week we
I'm
will
not there
be
next
without
week.
Caro next week. Which of course is very
Oh.
sad, but we'll take good care of Delphine, and we'll make sure maybe the party finally gets to Sharn. And
Yay.
but we will be back next week. But before we head out for today, does anyone have any announcement, anything they would like to share, anything coming up in the next coming week, something interesting you would like to highlight?
Oh, something interesting. Since we're all actually, I just read this last week. Like, so yeah, people are sick of all these podcasts that were friends playing at the table, and it's like we are not friends at the beginning, so but we are now. And next week I'm going to meet Sariel for the first time. Like, I have never seen them
Ah.
except on the video.
That's true. I forgot.
Ah, that's nice.
Oh boy.
So-
Share a selfie together if you can.
Exactly. Enjoy.
Obviously,
Make it
Obviously.
fashion.
we'll record a video or something. Just,
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
just saying
Very
hello.
nice.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So that will be exciting.
Indeed. Anything else
Yeah,
going
that'll be
on?
fun.
Yes, Austin.
I'm looking for. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'm hopefully either tomorrow or Thursday, like properly starting streaming again, hopefully on a regular schedule.
Ooh.
And
Awesome.
yeah, I have fun things planned for that. So
All right.
I'll make a
there
And-
link
may
in
or
the
may
chat.
not be new designs and potentially a new merch happening, maybe, if I can get it to
Cool.
work.
Cool.
That'll
And
be fun.
Oh, I saw it on Twitter. I know what you're talking about. I'm very curious.
yeah, so and people who want to keep on track with that, I just posted the link to your Twitter in the chat. So if I'm assuming that if you go live, you can follow. If you go to Twitter, if you follow Austin at Starcrosser on Twitter, you can find the links also to your Twitch there and everything. You should totally check it out. Austin has some cool new things for his layout planned there. So that's going to be fun to watch. And of course, it's always fun to watch Austin have fun with video games. So totally keep an eye on that. Serial, you also had something you wanted to share?
Just wanted to say that I'm looking for new projects for March and April. So if you want to talk about some commissions or some art that you wanted made, feel free to hit me up on any of my social media. And if you feel like just purchasing some stickers or some prints from my shop, that's also cool. So I guess check out my shop. I'm Serial Snowwings on Etsy. You know,
It's
things.
all amazing.
I'm bad at marketing.
And also, if you really like also the work that Serial does and you want to support them further, you can also check out your Patreon that you do have. There's also some
Yeah.
cool stuff there.
It's okay.
And
I mean, look at their art.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
I'm putting it in the right place, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that's the
did
right place.
this.
Yeah. So no, but I also shared I shared the link to your Twitter as well. So if you're interested in commissioning something or buying stickers and other cool stuff from Serial, check out their socials and give them your money because that work is cool. And yeah,
I just what is it called? I just added this print to my shop. It wasn't there before, so now
It's
you can get
dope.
it for you if you like it.
It is
Ooh,
dope.
I really
nice.
like it. It's a weird angel.
Be not afraid. That angel is
Oh.
cool. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Cool. Anything else going on in the coming week?
just
I think we had around here. Well, then we are going to get into our own carriages and heading off to wherever we want to head off for tonight
And muscular ponies.
on muscular ponies. And we're going to ride off into the sunset for today, but we'll be back next week. So if you like what you see here, tune in back next week. And for the rest, enjoy whatever time of day it is around where you are. And thank you for watching and see you next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.